Working on document understanding projects are going to be super easy because we have generative AI capabilities now in document understanding. All you need is the latest document understanding activities package. In this video, I am going to go through step by step. I am going to show you where you can download all such files for your exercise. I'm going to show you the activities that you have to configure step by step to utilize this GenAI capability in UiPath document understanding. If you continue till the end of the video, this video is going to be a great learning experience for you and you are going to learn lot many GenAI capabilities for your new document understanding projects. So why delay? Let's get started. The very first thing we will do, open the UiPath Studio and in the start button you are going to click on process. So here we are going to name it as document understanding Gen AI test. Okay, and I'm going to click on create the process. Now allow the project to launch. After this, go to your project panel. The very first thing anytime you start a project is to check what are the dependencies available. By default, with the new version, you will have UiPath system.activities. You need to install the other required packages. For this, I'm going to click on Manage Packages and click on Official. And then at this place, simply type Document Understanding. If you simply type document, you see there are 4 different things that has appeared. Now in this, which one to select? The older way, you remember the document understanding project, if you have done it in the past, we were using this UiPath.documentunderstanding.ml activities or machine learning activities. The new one, the GenAI capability, what I'm going to show you, that is available in this package. UiPath.documentunderstanding.activities by UiPath. So this is the one. Now once you have this, it's always good idea to read what is written in the description. Core activities that enable the usage of complete document processing framework from taxonomy, definition, digitization, document classification, data extraction, data validation, and classifier. So in this one, the best part is the earlier design, you have to create a taxonomy and you have to go through multiple steps. Now it is pretty simplified exercise for you. I'm going to show you in this demo. Right now, all I am going to do, select the version, the latest available version. Let's say you are doing after 6 months or 7 months of I have released this video. Go with the latest version that is available. So here currently it is 2.12. Maybe in the future it will be a higher version, doesn't matter. The steps would remain almost the same. Now I'm going to select that and hit on install and I'm going to hit on save. Now allow this particular package to install. Now once it has installed, you can see it here, UiPath.documentunderstanding.activities package is installed, available here. Now after this, the next thing, once your work is done in the project panel, you should go to the activities panel. In the activities panel, first of all, minimize all the activities that are there. So just now you have installed something, so it will be there in the installed section. So remember, you have installed this UiPath document understanding activities. So here you see it. If you expand this, you'll be able to see the list of activities that are present. And another thing, did you notice? This is a document understanding activity, but on the top, for the older projects, we used to get a button called Taxonomy Manager. Now, why we don't have? Because in this GenAI, you don't need it. That's why you don't see a button here called Taxonomy Manager. Pretty simple and straightforward usage. It's going to save a lot of time. And the output are also, I believe it's better than the older one. It's It's a subjective matter to compare. However, the Gen AI definitely has an edge. Let's check it. What I'm going to do, the very first activity for this document understanding project I am going to show you is the classify document. Simply drag and drop, or you can type the activity. Now, once you have this activity, let me slightly zoom in. So this is the classify document. Now this activity asks you a couple of things. The first one, the document understanding project, classifier, and the input. These are the three things. Now if you highlight it, you should always also check the properties. So there is something of property output, only single. There is nothing much to configure for you. It's easy, very, very easy. Now what next I should do here? Now the very first thing, anytime you drag and drop an activity, I would always recommend you to always open the right click on it and click on help. This is going to show you some of the things that are important for you to read. Okay, so here if you see classify document. Now in the classify document, what are the things it is going to ask you? So there are three things: predefined, we saw, the classifier, and the input. It is going to ask you three things. Now what is there in the first one? Let's see it. If I go back, it gives me an option called predefined. Now what is the meaning of predefined? If you click on this, it is giving an option, create document understanding project. You have already created. So what is this? Let's understand. So predefined means project that uses predefined specialized models. For GenAI already there are predefined models behind the scene, which is already set. You are going to use them. Recommended for standard scenarios. So this is what is recommended. So for this exercise, we will be selecting the predefined ones. You also have other options like existing project from the tenant folder you connected to. You can select some of your older project. You can create a new project by selecting plus icon. So I'm not going to use the other two options. We are going to use the predefined option. Is it clear? Predefined, which is going to use the behind the scene ML models which are predefined for this GenAI. So keep it as predefined. The next thing it is asking you, classifier. Now, if you hit on this drop down, you may see multiple classifiers. Now I see two classifiers, generative classifier, ML classification. So the goal is to go for a generative classifier. So I'm going to use the generative classifier. Now what is the generative classifier? Let's read it here. So classifier, if you are using predefined project, then you can select your desired document understanding classifier from the drop down menu. So here is an important note. The data sent to generative classifier will be sent to an LLM model, large language model instance, which is not publicly available, will not leave it, and once processed, it will not be stored or used for training. So your data is safe is a note here. So ML classification, ML based classifier, generative classifier is a generative classifier type. So it's a machine learning, this is the generative classifier. It's a large language model classifier. So here we will be using the second option. This feature is currently part of an audit process and is not be considered part of the FedRAMP authorization until the review is finalized. See here for the full list of features currently under review. Okay, so here a couple of documentation that you can always go through. Now for our learning purpose, I'm going to select the generative classifier. Before we talk about the prompt, let's talk about the input. So input means you need some files on which you would like to check this. So classify document is what is going to do all that I'm going to show you. Now you need some documents. For this exercise, I found my documents from the zip files available in one of the course. And the course name is the document understanding process template in studio. This is the course. You can type it in Academy and you will be able to find it. Now, once you open the course, go to something called solve a challenge with the help of the UiPath community. Solve a challenge. And this is what you have two documents. If you download them, you will see these files, must execute documents, other documents. If you open any one of them, you would have lot many PO orders. For example, purchase order E5, this one. And if I go back to the other zip file I have extracted, here you see you have multiple purchase orders. Now what you do, copy some of this purchase orders. So I'm going to select control and select some of the purchase order. I'm going to copy this. I'll go back to UiPath Studio, and in the projects tab where you see the main.xaml, I'm going to right click and then click on open file location. Now once you open the file location, all I'm doing, I'm simply pasting all the files that I've copied here. So you can see I have got E6, E7, E8. Some of the files I've copied randomly. I kept it here. When you start your learning, don't try to make it very complicated. Learn the basics. Learn the simple thing first. So in this one, what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this button and it open the projects folder for us. And I'm going to select only one file for the moment. Once we learn the concept, we will make it more complicated to process multiple files. Now let me select only one file and click on open. Now one interesting thing this is going to do, if you open the expression editor by clicking on this. Now look at this expression, okay? Let me expand it. Now what this expression is saying, local resource dot form path. You have selected this PDF. That's all you did. But this activity is capable of writing an expression for you where it says, okay, this is a PDF file, but you convert that to iResource data type. This is a kind of a class. This is a data type. So it's converting. It's a local resource dot from path so and so. So this is the field requirement when you provide an input file. So all you do a save. Where do you find this reference? This reference you find here. When your files aren't stored as iResource type variable, there's an option to perform conversion. So all you have to do, you have to use this particular expression, local resource.form path reference to the file, that file name in the input property field. Consider a scenario where you are iterating through a list of files using a for each activity. Suppose it is a current item in the for each is your iterating variable. To convert the current item into iResource, simply use this expression that they are saying. So far, you might have gotten understanding of what is this local resource dot form path. This is the variable data type which is required for this activity. That's why it has to be converted. Okay, now once that is done, now there is an interesting feature here called prompt. How do you use this prompt feature? All I'm going to do, simply click on this and slightly expand this area. Okay, now how this prompt feature works, let me show you. First of all, classify means what? You might provide an invoice document, you might provide a bill, you might provide a purchase order, you might provide a passport. It can be various kinds of document. So the very first thing, I need to understand what document type it is. Is it a passport? Is it a license? Is it a invoice? Is it a purchase order? What exactly is that? Is it an electricity bill? What is that? So that is called document type. If you read this, prompt to identify document types. Provide as a key value pair where the key represents the name of the document type. What you call them? If I keep you 5 different documents, you say this is a purchase order, this is an invoice, this is a passport, this is a license. So you can classify, right, by looking at the document. Similar way, for this activity to understand, you have to you are telling you classify the document. So I'll give a name. So purchase order, because we are now trying for purchase order. So I'm typing the document type as purchase order. And here I am going to write a natural language. So I'm going to simply use a double quote. Is this document what I'm doing? I'm simply typed a natural language. I'm simply saying, is this document a purchase order? Is this document a purchase order? I'm simply typing a natural language sentence. That's all. Your job is done. Now let's say you have got invoice. Again, you will create another entry. You will say invoice. Is this document an invoice? For example, let me type it. Let's say invoice. Let's say passport, for example. Okay, passport. We don't have a passport at the moment, but I'm just giving an example. Is this document a passport? Invoice? bill, electricity bill, whatever you want to type, you can create multiple such entries. So whatever document you are providing, the GenAI is going to check on this prompt. Is this document a purchase order? Will check. Then it will check. Is this document a passport? Will check. So whatever prompt you are giving, it is going to check that particular prompt. So once you have entered some prompts, all you do simply save it. Now once you have saved, now the very important is the output of this, what output it brings. So here if you see, now I have created this. Now here there is something called classification output. By default you might see something. So here it is asking you hit on tab. Simply hit on tab, or else you can create your own variable, doesn't matter. Okay, so I said classification output because it's a classification activity, classification output. Hit on enter, done. By doing this, if you go to your variable panel, you see a variable getting automatically created. So now the amount of facility that you are getting is much more than I have seen a couple of years back. Now you have got so many options. You don't have to even type a variable. So sit on tab, you got a pre-created variable for you. Okay, pretty good. Now once you have this variable, next thing that will come to your mind, let me print and see what is the output that it brings. Let's use a log message activity. You can use a message box, write line, whatever you like. So here I'm going to select info, and here I'm going to type the document type is. Now all I know, there is a variable, and what is the variable name we just gave? If you don't know, simply control space. If you do, you see it. So classification output is the variable. Now you don't have to literally remember a lot many things. So you know the variable. Okay, now hit the dot, type dot, and then what you see, all properties of that variable you will see. There is something called creation date, there is something called document metadata, document type. So I want to understand what document type. So let me, you got a relative name. Okay, so let me select document type. Now there's an error, you see there's an error. So there is an error. So what you do, again hit, use a dot, then see what are the other properties it is showing you. These are the wrench icon is a property. Confidence, I'm not interested. Display name, okay, display name I'm not interested. I need the document type name, so I'll be selecting name. So likewise you can also experiment in case you forgot of what was that expression. This way you can easily find it. Now I have written classification output dot document type dot name. Pretty simple. Let's save it. Good. So once saved, all I'm going to do is simply run this document. So I have provided one here in our input. I have provided the purchase order E6. Now let's do one thing. Let's also open the E6 and see how it appears first of all before running. So where is that? Projects, and then refresh this, and here is the E6. If you click on it, it should open up. See, this is your purchase order, how it appears. Purchase order, there are so many things. Now let's understand if the GenAI is able to understand this is a purchase order, because there is a title, right? So GenAI should be able to examine this and tell me, yes, this is a purchase order. Now let's go back, and all I have to do simply run this. Okay, now this execution is going on. So now it is all happening through the GenAI behind the scene. All you have to do is relax and wait. Okay, so now let's see what it has typed. Go to the output. If you can see my output, DU GenAI test execution started. The document type is purchase order. See, it's able to clearly identify the document was provided is a purchase order. After this, the second activity that you should know or learn about is extract document. Okay, so if you go to document understanding, this is the activity extract document data. All I have to do, below this I'm going to drag and drop extract document. Now using this is very simple. The very first thing it is asking, document understanding project. So as you know, you will be selecting the predefined to use the LLMs. Predefined you have to select, and then input. The next thing you do is input. You provide the input file. So all you do, the file that we have selected, I think we had selected which file. Let's check it again. So we have selected E6. Okay, E6 file we have selected. So same thing, I'm going to select the E6 file and open it. You might be having question, how do I design if there are multiple files or multiple types of files? One is a PO, one is the invoice. That we will see. For the moment, let's understand the concept first. So I've selected the file. Now it comes the extractor. So what is the extractor you will be using? Generative extractor. You have see so many extractors are there. Invoices, invoice India, Japan, China, receipts. So many are there. So here you'll be simply going with the generative extractor. After that, it will ask you for a prompt. So which prompt to select? Let me simply open the expression editor in a bigger window. Now let's have a look of the E6 peon file. Okay. So this is the E6 purchase order or the PO file. Now what are the things from this file you would like to extract? So if I ask you this, you will say I need the purchase order number, I need the date and some of the other fields. So let's do one thing. Let's write one by one. So you need the purchase order number. This one you need. This number, what of the value is there? You need that. So further, let's go back to Studio and all you have to do is simply create a key. So it's a purchase order number. So PO number. And then the prompt for the GenAI. So you can write in simple natural language, what is the PO number? I'm just simply putting a question. So it'll automatically understand and find the PO number for you. Great. Then click on add entry. What you need next? You need the PO date. So on what date it was created? PO date. So I'll say purchase order date, PO date. And then I'll say what is the PO date? Simple. See, simple. I'm just typing the natural language. So the GenAI will automatically do things for me. Add entry. Next, what we want, let's say I need the vendor name. Okay, this is the vendor name I have. Vendor name is and the salesperson name. Okay, so here the vendor name is ABC Office Supplies and the salesperson name is John Smith. Address is this. This is the customer information. This is the customer name. Okay, contact person is so and so. So here I need the vendor name and the customer name, both the things I need. So I'll say vendor name. And here let's type what is the vendor name. The next thing I need add entry. I need customer name. And here let's type what is the customer name. Okay, now let's see what else you want. Let's say you want the address, vendor address you need, and you need the customer address also. Okay, so first let's create an entry, vendor address. And I'm going to say what is the vendor address. And then I need the customer address. Let's say customer address. And here let's say what is the customer address. Okay, good. What else you need? So there is a table. Okay, there's a table. So it has an item number, it has a detail, it has a unit, quantity, unit price, total. Okay, so let's say I need the detail. Okay, I need the detail, I need the quantity, I need the unit price. Okay, unit price and total I need. So let's write this is the table item, right? It's a kind of a table. So I'll say add entry table items, and here I'm going to say from the table find colon, you can write your natural language. Okay, I need the item number details. For example, I need the item number, comma, details, comma, unit, let's say uh, unit price total, for example, okay, comma, unit price, comma, total I want. So it's a table item. So it has got multiple values. So it is going to get that. Now add entry. Then I want the total amount. Okay, 338. Then total amount. What is the total amount? Okay, so I've written only the prompts I have written and I'm going to save it. Okay, now I'm going to show you one more interesting thing. After this is done, you would like to extract the data. Let's say we'll use the log message at this time. I'm going to use a log message. Now in the log message, here I'll say info. I'll go here. Now let's say I don't know the expression. How to write the expression. I need all the values, right? So here there is a GenAI. So all I will do, I want to log all the values, right? Let's see that. Cancel it. So this is the extract document data, right? So let's create a variable for this. So if you keep your mouse pointer, hit on tab, it is going to create a variable. So extracted document data is the variable. I'll copy the name of this. I'll go to this and here I'm going to write something. Okay. I want to log all the values with specific label names available from the previous activity, from the previous activity, colon, and I'm going to put the, you can write in your own way, okay, not necessarily you have to type exactly this way, you can type it. So let's see how the GenAI is going to help you. So I don't have to literally remember the codes also. See, so now what it did, new with pure number, extracted document data pure number dot value, comma, okay, and let's say I'm going to say it should print the values one below the other. Okay, let's see. So it has done a string join environment.newline. So like that you can improvise your code. You can see it has written a pretty nice code. String.join environment.newline new string pure number colon ampersand extracted document data is the variable dot data dot pure number your key name dot value. Similar way PO date extracted document data PO date dot value. So like that is written. Now if you would have written, you would have taken some time to draft it. Now with the help of GenAI, you can see how simple the life is going to be. So I'm going to hit on save. Looks pretty interesting. Now let's see whether it's able to get us the output or not. I'm simply going to run. Let's face the moment of truth and see how the GenAI is working here. So the very first thing it has done, the document type is purchase order. Okay, it has done it. Log message it has done. Now it is extracting the document. Okay, let's see. Extracting data from the document. Okay, now it has executed. Now if I go back, you see all the data it has. Now let's see, let's verify. Okay, the verification is important. Now PO number. So what was the PO number? Ending with 234. Ending with 234. Correct. PO date 12/12/2022. Correct. Vendor name ABC Office Supplies. ABC Office Supplies. Correct. And then customer name Franklin Middle School. Customer in Franklin Middle School. Correct. Next vendor address 1667. 1667. Correct. customer address Washington DC, correct. And then table items. Now look at the table items: item number, detail, unit, quantity, unit price, total. So first item was pencil HB, dozen, uh, uh, unit, what is that, details, and then unit. Okay, unit dozen. Okay, quantity 5, and then total. So it has got all the amount, you see, nicely it has got. So there were 6 items, huh? Correct, 6 items were fetched properly. Pretty good, nice job. Now total amount. So what is the total amount? 338.12. See, it has got me the data. DU GenAI test execution ended in, it took almost like 49 seconds to complete. So which is exceptionally well, to be, if you ask me, which has done a pretty much good job. So that was for a single file. What if I have multiple files? So next we are going to see, with multiple files, how can you use these two activities, classify document and extract document data. On my desktop, I have a folder called UiPath input files. And in this one, I have kept few purchase orders. Okay, some 5 purchase orders I have kept: E2, E5, E6, E7, E8. And the thing about this is, every purchase orders are different from the other. Okay, if you see, E5 has a different look. This has a different look. Purchase order, this E7 has a different look. E6 has a different look. So they are literally slightly different from one another. Now in this case, will the GenAI document understanding work or not? Let's see it. Let's go back to Studio. Now in the Studio, now the question is, I need to loop through a folder which is there on my desktop. So I'm going to use a for each file in folder, this activity. And then let me select here and go to desktop and select that particular folder. Selected. Include subfolders, nothing to do. Skip folders, nothing to do. Filter by, nothing to do. Okay, so now in this one, all the activities that we had, right, the previously created activities, I'm going to simply move it inside the do box. After you do it, what happens? There could be little changes you have to do. So here, after, while the loop is running, current file is the variable which would be holding the details of that file when it loops through that folder. So only thing you have to do here, go to the input expression for the classified document first. And here, instead of purchase order, delete this. You will now use the current control space current file dot toString. This is what you have to do. So this is what you have to write. So hit on save. Similar way for the extract document. Okay, for this extract document data, open the expression, remove the previous file that we have given. Okay, and here I'll say current control space file dot toString, and I'm going to save it. That's it. So now the project is ready to work for multiple files. Let me save this and let's run it. Okay, or else simply debug it. Okay, let's see. Okay, now the execution has started. So we'll wait for some time until it processes. So now the process is complete. Let's see the output. Okay. So the output, the first one, the document type is purchase order, PO number it has got, vendor name it has got, customer name it has got, table items it could not find for the very first file. Let's go back to desktop, open that So this is the first file, I believe. Let's see the purchase order number. So the purchase order number is 23781. Okay, 23781. Okay, this is fine. So it could not find because there is nothing called item. You see, initially we have defined item. That's why it went blank, but it has got code. Instead of item, it has got something called code, product description, quantity, unit price. So these are the things where it will tells you to modify your code slide a bit. Okay, code, product description, quantity, unit price, amount. So it could be item or code. So here it could not find. For the next one, table items could not be found. Table items blank. Here you have got the table items. Do you see item number? So item number is not there in those PDFs. Okay. And here also table items is blank. So something instead of table items, so it was there in the PO number 900052. I don't know which one is that. 900052. This one. Okay. So this has got item. Okay. Okay. This has got item number. So we have to say if item is not there in your code, to the GenAI you can say it could be order code or item. So like that, if you give you a prompt, it will pull it. So let's do one thing. Let's go back to our studio and let's change the prompt. Okay, so here in the extract document, I'll go to the prompt and I'm going to say table items, item number. Okay, item number in item number from the table find item number, or instead of item number it could be order code, or it could be order code, or let's see some of the other things. Code. Okay, code. What else we had? Item number, order code, code. Okay, so we have given some variants. Now I'm going to save this, save it, and run it once again. Okay, this time let me directly run it. Okay, so the execution completed. Now this time we see how the output has come. Okay, so the first one has got the table items, pretty good. Okay, second one has still missed it, so you can still keep on changing the prompts. Third one missed it. This one also missed. uh, some of them have missed. Okay, that's more of a trial and error that we can always do by upgrading our prompt and see how we can ensure all the things are found, that we can do it. Now we will do an exercise where you have PO, purchase orders, and you have invoices. So you have to extract data from purchase order documents and invoice documents. There are two different kinds of documents. Let's see how this can be done. I am on my desktop and there is a file, UiPath input files. So here there are two kinds of no, document types. One you have purchase order, the other one you have invoices. Just to show you how the invoice looks like. This is how the invoice looks like. It has an invoice number, it has bill to, address, due date, and item description. Okay, and this invoices I actually used ChatGPT and asked it, okay, create a sample invoices, and it has given me. You can also get it. So here if you see, I got the second invoice, and let's see the purchase order. The purchase order looks something like this. Okay, and let's see the second purchase order. Looks something like this, slightly different. Okay, so it has order, item, quantity, units, and the other one also has code, product description, quantity, unit price, something like that. No, so we have few things. So let's see how we can get all these details through the GenAI document understanding activities. So we are going to start from the scratch. So the very first thing in your project panel, you should have the UiPath document understanding dot activities. That should be your step one. And after that, the very first activity I'm going to use is for each file in folder. And in this one, let me select the path, go to the desktop, select the folder, done. There's no specific thing I would like to read. Any document that is there, it's going to read it. And after that, in the do section, I'm going to use, let's say, classify document. This is a GenAI activity. Okay, I'll use the classify document. Now, how would you do this? I'm going to select the predefined, and then classifier, I'm going to select the generative classifier. Okay, the inputs, how would you select the inputs? So all you do, for example, select one of the file. I'll go to the desktop, UiPath input. Let me select one of the file. So once you have the expression, okay, all I have to do is replace this particular expression with current item. Control space, current file dot to string. Okay, so that way this is done. Now classify document, here we are dealing with two different kinds of documents. So here I'm going to click on prompt. So here let's write it. The very first document is purchase order, and here I'm going to give it a prompt. Is this document a purchase order? A prompt. Then I'm going to add one more prompt. The second type of document is invoice. So here I'll say, is this document is an invoice, and I'm going to hit on save. So my classification is done. Now here, very important, the property. So property, I'll keep the mouse here and hit on tab. So classification output is our property. Now the very first thing we will do below this is log message, and here I will say info, and I'm going to log a message. How would I do it? Simply I'll use the GenAI options. Log what kind of file type, document type from the previous activity. Okay, from the, let's see if it can pull it. So classification output dot see so smart it is, right? Great. So save it. So now with the GenAI, you can see the speed of development that it's going to help you. So then the property, we had classification output, and just by writing a prompt, it understood and it has written me the same thing, classification output document type dot name. Pretty good. Now after this, what I will do, I'll use a switch case. Okay, I'll use a switch case, and in the switch case, the expression I'm going to write is this. I'll copy this expression. I'm going to go here and paste this expression, and I'm going to save. Now, what are the two different outputs would you get? As per your prompt, you get the output, right? So one, it could be purchase order, the other could be invoice. So I'll copy this, and here in the add case, I'm going to type it purchase order. What is the other type? The invoice. I'm going to copy again this one to avoid any kind of spelling mistakes. I'll click on add case, and I'm going to say this one. Okay, now if it is a purchase order, here I'm going to use the extract data, extract document data activity. Now here again, let's follow the same thing. Predefined, and then I'm going to select generative extractor. Okay, now here the input, again you do the same thing, select one of the file, any one of the file, Once the expression is generated, all you have to do, replace this with current file dot to string. Done. Now hit on save. Now it's on the prompt. On the prompt, let's see what are the things we want to fetch from the purchase order. So we'll keep it simple. Let's say I want the PO number. So I'll say PO number, and here uh, find, you can write in your own ways, find the PO number from the document, okay, or you can say what is the PO number, like that also you can write, up to you. PO number I got. Next is I need the PO date. For example, I'll add another entry and I'll say PO date. I'll say find the PO date from the document, and I'm going to save. So I'm only taking 2 fields, you can try out more. Okay, so now hit on save. Next thing, this the output, right? Now here the output, go to the property. So the output is extraction results. So extraction document data, for example. Okay, it's not taking. Let me see. I think last time I had few variables. Let me delete that. Let's create a new variable. Properties. This time I'm not getting a suggestion. Okay, I got it. Extraction data is suggestion. I hit on enter. So this is one variable for the purchase order, which will be holding the data of the purchase order. Now below this, I'm going to log a message. You can write to Excel and a lot of things you can do. At the moment, I'm simply using a log message, and I'll select info, and I'm going to say what is the variable output for this extraction data. I'll just copy the name of this variable. I'll go here to the prompt and say, I'll say log all the values with labels. Log all the with labels um, um, and print one below the other, and print one below the other from this variable. Okay, so let's see what it does. So it has said string join environment line PO number is equal to this. See, it has also understood what are the values there inside that variable, and it has got as the expression. Pretty good. Save. So PO number is done. Similar way, if it is an invoice, again you will do the similar one. Extract document data. Okay. Now let's select predefined. Okay. Let's select generative extractor. Okay. Let's, you can just copy paste the expression from the previous one. Copy and paste, or you would have copied the entire activity. Anything is fine. All right, now the next thing is a prompt. So the prompt here, let's see the invoice how the invoices were looking. I think I closed all of them. Let me open the invoice, one of the invoice. Let's say I need the invoice number and the due date, for example. Okay, invoice number and due date. Okay, fine. So all I will do, go here and I'll say invoice number. And I'm going to say find the invoice number from the document. All right, and the next thing I'll say, what was the due date, right? Due date. Okay, due date. find the due date from the document. Okay, so I have written my prompts. You can continue as many fields you want, and then time for the this one, properties. So here extraction so click here, extracted invoice data. It has suggested a variable. Let's use that. Now all I will do, I'll use this variable extracted invoice data variable. Below this I'll use a log message, and here using the GenAI, a similar one. One below the other. Okay, you can use your natural language. Doesn't have to be the exact sentence I'm typing every time my sentence is changing, so that's fine. GenAI will be able to do the job for you mostly. So string.join environment new line extracted invoice data properties get type get properties dot select function. It has not done a pretty much good job. Data properties dot get type, it has done something wrong. Okay, so I wish to log all the values with labels one below the other from the variable this one. Okay, let me retry again. String.join environment new line extracted invoice data dot get type. No. Data labels of the variable are from previous activity. So now it is not giving me see get type something it's giving. Okay, let me change my prompt again. Log all the values with labels for the variable this, and would like to print values one below the other. So I've typed it. Let's see this time. Now it is good. Okay, invoice number and then extra data invoice number number invoice number dot value due date extra due date. Okay, so now I think it's did the good job. Okay, and then I'm going to say info. So now my entire flow is done. Now it's only time to run it and see how it is performing. Now what betterment you can do is with your prompts, right? With your prompt, if it is not working properly, you can keep changing your prompt, improvising your prompt, and see how it works. All right, so it is completed. Let's see the output. Execution started, invoice number, due date. Again, it found another invoice. It found the data, purchase order, it got the data. Okay, so some of the time, some of the data may or may not give the proper output. As I said, changing the prompt and making sure if you could see if the GenAI could capture those elements from the document or not. This is another way of extracting the data, and we have done one of the exercise. The next thing I'm going to show you, how do you get the confidence score printed for all the values extracted. So all I will do, you can print the confidence score wherever you like. So let's say extract document data. I would like to print the confidence score of this. You can also do it for the classify. Now here I went to the log message, and here I'll simply say add the OCR confidence to the above code. Okay, I'll just copy the prompt. Okay, so here you can see it has written OCR confidence dot toString. Do you see? It has written all of these things: OCR confidence, PO number, PO date, PO number. Okay, PO, sorry, what is that? PO number, extracted PO number dot value, and then PO date and extracted value, OCR confidence, a PO number. PO number. So it has not given the confidence for the PO date. Add OCR confidence to the above code for all the values. Okay, let's see if it has added. Just always verify. Okay. So PO number extracted PO number dot value, confidence extracted PO number OCR confidence dot toString. Very good. PO date dot value, and here OCR confidence dot toString for PO date. Now it looks good. Okay. So this prompt I'll copy. I'll save the code. Same thing we'll do for the invoice. I'll go to the log message and simply use the same prompt and run it. Okay, let's read the code. New line dot string invoice number ampersand extract invoice data dot data invoice number dot value. Very good. Confidence invoice number dot OCR confidence. Very good. Now due date value, due date OCR confidence to string. Pretty good. Okay, so it has written the code. I'm happy with it. I'm going to save it. Now let me show you. Let me run this code and I'm going to show you how the confidence score is printed. Okay, so the execution is completed. If I click on the output, you see the confidence score is 11111 it has got. That means it is confident of what it has retrieved. So this is how you can utilize the confidence score to understand where it stands. Lower the number, that means the confidence is low in that. After we have seen this, let's go to the old template, the previous document understanding template we had. So here I'll go to templates and click on document, type document, and here this is the old one, document understanding model. Okay, let me open this document understanding process. I think I had one already open. Let me open that up. Go to home, document understanding process one. Yeah, this is the one. Now we will see in the older document understanding template what we had. In that, if I have to use a GenAI activity, is it possibility? So in this one, if you see a taxonomy manager is there, the old style taxonomy manager you have, and then you go to project panel, you see the dependency here is UiPath dot document understanding dot ML activities. The one that we saw, it doesn't have dot ML activities. It is just UiPath document understanding activities. The ML word is missing in that, the new one. Okay, now what we would do, we would go to a step called slightly hide. You can use these buttons, do you see? Just to hide your panels, or you can click on this. Okay, so now let's see. I'm looking for classify, digitize. Okay, and then you have validate, classification, validate and train classifier, process each document. Okay, now let's get inside this. Process each document. And inside this you have something called extraction rules check. So let's extract. So workflow file name, arguments 9 extract.xaml. Okay, open workflow. So in this data extraction scope, you have got multiple different extractors. Now let me show you the GenAI based extractors. All you do, go to activities and simply type generative extractor. Do you see? You have a generative classifier. You also have a generative extractor. This is coming from the document understanding. So this activities you can also utilize here. All I have to do, simply drag and drop this activity here. Okay, so generative extractor activity, click on manage prompt, and like lastwise we saw, right, you manage your prompts here and it will work. Similar way, you also have a generative classifier. So these are the two different ways you can also try to utilize your generative extractor in your old document understanding projects. The next thing is you have something called configure extractor. Okay, if you click on this, so based on the minimum confidence score, right? Based on the minimum confidence score, you can configure this. So let's say I want to use the generative extractor for invoices. Now what do you do? There is also important property for the data extraction scope. Click on the properties. Now here the properties, auto validation confidence, this one, auto validation threshold. Let me data extraction scope. Let me drag and drop the latest one. Data extraction scope. Let me drag and drop here. Somewhere below. Now this data extraction scope, if you go to the property, yeah, you have couple of additional things here. Auto validation confidence threshold. Okay, you can select your the GenAI is using confidence threshold for generative validations. This is the additional property that you should be aware of. Only field values with confidence below this threshold will be validated. If values are confirmed, the confidence of those values will be set to the threshold. So if it is anything below 99, then only it will go to the validation. Otherwise, the validation is not required. So this is how you can set the value here. Okay, apply auto validation, or else you can just go with the apply validation with confidence score. These are the two different options that you should be aware of. If required, I'll come up with more videos on document understanding. Please do let me know in the comment section, and let me know, was this learning, did you learn something new from this video? Please do comment and share your thoughts. Thank you for watching. Let's meet once again in our next content.